Let's rip into the games here, Marcus. We're going to start up with the biggest game of the weekend. My beloved Arsenal are $1.70. The draw is $4.20. Tottenham are $4.50. This is at the Emirates Stadium Sunday night at 11 p.m. I will be staying up to watch this. This is an absolute ripping time slot.
100%.
Both teams come into this one unbeaten. Is this the biggest North London derby in recent memory? I want to throw back to a clip from the start of the EPL season where we did our preview and someone may have said something along these lines.
And I think Tottenham fans to be undefeated by the North London derby. Tottenham to be, undefeated. Their fans will be singing Andrew's name.
Imagine if both teams are undefeated going into that.
They got a
decent run.
A decent run. Yeah, I think the only tough team they play is, I can't remember off the top of my head, it might be Manchester United.
Yep. Okay.
Shout out to Marcus, calling Tottenham being unbeaten. I also did throw in, imagine if Arsenal are also unbeaten. So two teams unbeaten. Awesome matchup here. I do believe this is the biggest North London derby in recent memory, given the fact both teams are unbeaten. I know there's been games at the end of the season where Champions League spots and this and that go on the line, but I think being unbeaten makes it so much bigger. Yeah. You look at recent history, so I did a deep dive yesterday. I went full nerd. Arsenal obviously won both games last year. Tottenham were quite poor last year. We all freely admit that. But Arsenal have won the last 4 of 5 North London derbies. They haven't lost a North London derby at home since 2010. And they've scored 30 goals in their last, it's not 30, it's 30 goals in their last 13 derbies at home. That is an insane record. So that'll just rip us straight into the match game picks here. I'm going to go with both teams to score over 2.5 goals in the game. Gets us $1.80. The over 3.5 could well be on as well, given the way that both teams have been going about it, $2.20. I think Arsenal to score 2+ at $1.53 is a nice little bet there as well. Now, I just want to ask you about this, Marcus, and you can sort of roll along with it for a bit too. How do you feel the sort of seasons have been going so far for both teams? You said prior to the start of the year, Tottenham had a pretty easy draw coming into this match game week. And Arsenal, they've been doing enough to win, and that's all you've got to do.
Well, obviously, Tottenham had a pretty easy draw. Obviously, the only tough fixture on paper that they had was Manchester United at home, and obviously we know how Manchester United have started the season. And Arsenal, well, they're just doing what they need to do at the start of the season to finish in that Champions League spot and even, who knows, challenge for the title. But I think although on paper they're both undefeated, I think probably Tottenham have had a better start to the season, just in terms of club atmosphere and how Ange has turned the club around. But I think, as you mentioned before, there's definitely going to be goals in this one, I think, because Ange isn't going to be stubborn and
he's going to go swinging. He's going to try and punch Arsenal directly in the face in his first derby, and it's at the Emirates Stadium as well.
Exactly.
So you sort of look at it and you're just like, when you just sort of go match up the 11s that look likely to start, but also with Arsenal, they've got to play a game in the Champions League tomorrow morning, so it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. But of the overall 11 against 11 on the pitch, try and find me a Tottenham player, possibly other than Son Heung-min, that is better than his direct opponent at Arsenal. It's very hard.
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. Honestly, I wouldn't even be able to name anyone.
Yeah, I can't. Like, if you go, like, you talk about it, you should look at Arsenal's back four, maybe on that left edge, there against Zinchenko, maybe, and then in midfield it's Rice and Odegaard. Like, absolutely not. Declan Rice has been phenomenal since he started to Arsenal. I suppose Song up front striking is possibly better than Nketiah and Jesus, because at least he's been finishing goals. But other than that, I find it hard to see them see that as far as, a better team against team goes. So with that, I am leaning pretty heavily to Arsenal to get the job done. The fact that they're at home, this is a massive week for the club. Champions League, first time in 6 years, into a North London derby. They're going to be prepped up and ready to go. And Mikel Arteta has built this squad saying, we're going to be playing 3 games a week for the next 6 to 12 months. So we're ready for this. They need to hit the ground running. I'm looking into goals. I'm looking into Martin Odegaard to score anytime. He scored in 2 of his last 3 North London derbies. I think he's a decent price to score again. And, of course, Bukayo Saka. No prices available yet because this game obviously being Sunday night. So look at him to score anytime. He's just been building. I've started to sort of notice he's one of the best players in the world, and we all know that. But he's almost, this isn't to sound disparaging, he's been coasting along to start the year. And he's got that next level when he's like, all right, it's time to go. He just clicks it and he's just like, I am so much better. And I think we've seen little flashes, but we haven't seen him just go, all right, it's time to be the legitimate best Bukayo Saka I can be.
And this is the type of fixture that he'll star in this one.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm going to go a draw in this one.
Okay.
Just because you mentioned Champions League first time in 6 years. Obviously, it's not the same as last season where you're in the Europa League and you can play your second string squad. You're going to have to.
Arteta did just play his strongest 11 basically every week. Like Bukayo Saka played on that bloody artificial turf pitch over in, I think it was like Norway or something. Like it was ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll give you a stat for you.
Oh, I love it.
You said it was the first time you played Champions League in six seasons.
Yep.
And since Olivier Giroud, your last goal scorer was Olivier Giroud in the Champions League.
Wow.
Since then, he has won the Champions League, the Europa League, the Club World Cup, the Super Cup, and he's moved to AC Milan and won the league. So
pretty good record in 6 years. That's a lot has happened for him in 6
years.
Yeah, I was about to say, there is no member left over from that Arsenal starting 11 that will be playing on or tomorrow night in the Champions League. So that'll be really interesting. I think it's like maybe Emile Smith-Rowe could be the only squad member left. It's really wild.
He's not really getting a look in, which I'm a bit surprised by.
I think Champions League is where he's going to get a run, maybe in Carabao Cup and FA Cup. There's going to be so much coming up for Arsenal. The fact that they've held on to him, I think he's got a part to play. There's going to be a time, and before we move on to our tips, I think Kai Havertz is eventually it's going to click.
He got dropped last week, didn't he?
He got dropped for Vieira, but he came on as a sub, and he did look good. It's him working out a new system, and as we've seen with Chelsea, they're just whatever's going on there at the moment. When you go there, it seemingly doesn't work out for players, and when you leave, it takes some time to get going. Like Kovacic has been okay since he left, but hasn't been great for Man City. So. Anyway, that's enough talk about this game. I think I've indulged myself well enough. I'm tipping Arsenal. You're tipping the draw. So,
I'm tipping the draw.
Big game. Can't wait.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.